Okay, let's call the meeting to order, please. Hello, thanks for coming. Let's start the meeting with a pledge of allegiance to the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do any board members have a conflict of interest to declare? No. The board met this morning for a long time in executive session and took the following actions. We approved the March 7th, March 24th, and March 28th executive session minutes. We tabled the homeowner variance request. We discussed vendor contract, discussed the homeowner IDR. We discussed a personnel matter, reviewed the delinquency report, reviewed the violations report, reviewed management action plan, and reviewed the legal bill. Do we have a TGIS report, Todd?
Yeah.
Good afternoon. This will be brief. Right now, our operating amount is $644,714. Year-to-date enhancement fees are $185,050. This is as of March, the middle of March 10th. Currently, 9 houses up for sale. We have 14 under contract. To date, 53 houses have sold in the community for this FY. Depending on when these ended up closing out, by 1 April was our fiscal year, we're going to probably be about $20,000 short of our enhancement fees of $225,000. That being said, next year's budget, we're Well, you gotta allocate 210,000 versus 225. We combined at our annual meeting for TGIS, we combined the Blue Water and the lifestyles budgets together, since Mary's the operations manager, and she handles them both. Also, we're gonna be distributing half the money, roughly about $30,000. It's gonna go out, this should be, if you got it yet, Mary, it should be going out post haste. And we used to give them a monthly stipend for both of them, so. And then we're gonna review it in September again with some accounting from them, and see if they need remainder, if they need more, give them that to them. In the process of working on a survey to send out to the community for a TGIS only survey. And we're also in the process of going out and vetting some other companies other than Action Management, just to get an idea what's out there, price-wise, et cetera. That's all I got, George. Question?
All right, any questions for Todd? Thank you, Todd. Do we have any other committee chairs that were reporting today? Okay. Moving on to the general manager report.
I will also make this quick for today. So we have entered into our new fiscal year. Wanted to make that reminder for everybody to make sure you adjust your payment methods to the new fees. Master at 316, Cobblestone 407, and Cobblestone Elevator 501. Just make sure that your payment methods have been updated so that they're taking the right amounts out of your account. We have a lot coming up with our election. So on Tuesday, April 18th, we'll be doing a Meet the Candidates night, and I really, really encourage all of you to get to know the candidates. We have 6 candidates that are running for 3 positions. We have their information available on the MyTGI website. We also have posts from the majority of our candidates on our Facebook page. So take a look at it, get to know the people that are running and want to represent this community, so that you can make an educated choice when that ballot comes out. The ballot will be going out on April 21st. The annual meeting will be May 23rd. And that is when we will be counting the votes and making the decision and announcing. We have several project updates for projects going on. They're listed in the newsletter, so I would encourage you guys, if you want updates, go ahead and take a look at the newsletter to see what's going on with all of our projects. And that's it for this month.
Okay. Thanks, Tracy. Next is the operation manager report.
I'll make this short and sweet, like my personality and my height. As you may recall, due to higher natural gas prices and colder weather, last month the board agreed to not heat the outdoor pool until May 1st. However, natural gas prices have come down a little bit. And with April forecast temperatures being in the mid to high 70s and low 50s, the board has decided to turn on the heater a little earlier on April 17th. Keep in mind, the pool that large, or a pool that large, does take a couple of days to heat up. So by Wednesday the 19th, you guys should have a heated outdoor pool. If you use the indoor pool, you may have noticed staff has added an Alexa up on the back wall. It's there in case you want to get a hold of someone at the front desk. You may ask Alexa to drop in. She will ask, where would you like to drop in? Either the front desk Blue Water or front desk PCL. Keep in mind, staff isn't always at their desk and they may be doing their building walks, so if you see them around, you can just wave them down. They'll always be happy to help you. Please don't ask to log on to Alexa to go shopping. The card will probably decline. We will soon be adding one upstairs at the gym, so if you notice that the cups are running a little low or we are running low on water, just go ahead and drop in and we can be right up there. This month's Trilogy Time, you may have found on the Blue Water section, there's a list of all events, and those are events from April of this year through March of next year. Take a look at them, and we hope to see you guys there.
Thanks, Mary. Moving on to the Lifestyle Coordinator Report, Jessica.
Hello, everyone. So this is just a quick rundown of the events we have upcoming in April. Looking forward to Trivia Night this Friday at 6. We'll be having 4 rounds for a full game of trivia, and we'll be having pizza and salad during that time. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone who has signed up. This upcoming Saturday as well, we have a commercial shredding company coming out, and they'll be parking in the upper parking lot to take care of any personal documents or things that you need shredded. We are taking time slot signups at the front desk. If you haven't signed up, we are still taking them. They will be here from 12 to 4 p.m. On April 14th, we have a guest speaker who's booked the ballroom to have a presentation on estate and financial planning. And he's providing a lunch as well. I believe it's a fried chicken lunch. For anyone that comes to present in our community, we do vet them. We make sure that they know it's informational and for education purposes only. There's no sales or promotional materials of any kind, unless asked for by one of the attendees. We do our best to invite professionals with information of value to this community. And I'm always on hand for these meetings as well to make sure that Trilogy standards are being upheld. Movie day will be April 13th, and we will be showing Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And bingo day is, I forgot to write the date, I believe it is the 16th from 1 to 3 p.m. April 22nd, we will be having our community garage sale. All canyons are open for this community event, and signs have been placed along the roads, and we have also placed an ad in several media outlets to promote this community event. April 23rd is something I'm very excited about. I believe it's the first of its kind. We will be having a Sunday brunch at the Lake Center. We'll be having an omelet bar along with biscuits and gravy and other breakfast staples, and of course mimosas. The event has sold out as soon as tickets went up for sale, and Mary was able to open it up to accommodate even more, and it sold out again. So this looks like it's going to be a very popular event, and I hope we can have more of them in the future. We have added a new caterer to our vending list, Touch of Paradise Catering. They did our St. Patrick's Day social night with the corned beef on very short notice, might I add, and he came through, and that was great. The rates look good, the food is great, and they've already been approved through Vive. On April 29th, we have our Cars and Coffee, and we have a good group of folks from Trilogy showing up with their cars, and we've also partnered with a car group from Terramore, who's going to be joining us. It's going to be in the upper parking lot from 7 to 9 in the morning. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to open forum. So I have Mike Foxworth.
Hi, I'm Mike Foxworth from Cobblestone. I want to make an appeal or a request that the board look into any way they can possibly encourage LiftMaster to modify, to reprogram, to readapt the MyQ app for operating the gates. I've had a personal problem with it, and I think others have had a problem with it. I don't know that it's been brought up before. I know there's a general angst about the gates overall, but that specifically looks like a programming issue. They could do a much better job of making that app user-friendly. It really is not. And it just seems like there's more complication there than needs to be. So I'm just asking you to look into that.
Okay, I can comment on that a little bit. The current MyQ app is one that we actually have kind of via grandfathering. They have a new app that they introduced that is actually phone friendly. The other one is primarily for the computer, it seems. And the new one will also be for cell phones. And supposedly it's much more user friendly. I haven't had a chance to use it yet. I think we do have some of them, and you guys use them? Yeah. So as you're also aware, we're looking at new vendors regarding the maintenance of the gates. And all of the new vendors told us when they come in, we will be required to move to this new app. We're now negotiating with those vendors and with LiftMaster regarding exactly what that looks like and how much it costs and all of that sort of thing. But everything we've heard from the vendors is that this one is much more user friendly. For instance, you can create an entry code from your phone, and you can send it to somebody else's phone via text or other means. The old one you could only send via email, which was not convenient. So we are looking at MyQ and also looking at ways, if we adopt this new version of it, to have training for the community, because it seems like a lot of people would like to use it, but it just, even with the old ones, having a hard time getting through it. So we would like to train anybody that wants to be trained, because we think that MyQ is probably an integral part of the security of this system. And we're looking at other ways. It seems as we've brought up at other meetings that some residents just give out their 5-digit code to everybody. And that kind of, reduces the security of the community. We're back almost to where we were with clickers, where people just give out their clicker or their 4-digit entry code. So we're looking at all of that to try to enhance the security and the user friendliness of the app for our residents. Yeah, Tracy just told me that with the new MyQ, you can use it on your motorcycle or other vehicle like a clicker. So it can get you in without having an RFID if you've downloaded the app. Your mobile phone. Okay. Next, Janice Walker.
She didn't know if she wanted to go now or later. Now? Later? Later. She wants to go on the after one, the last one.
Okay.
I just wanted to cover my bases.
Okay. Well, I will just comment, Janice, that I see your area of concern, or you want to comment about, is the new club.
Yes.
We will be voting on that today, so if you want to impact that vote, now would be the time to make your case, because the time we get to the end for user forum, we'll have already voted.
Okay. Keep going now. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I hear yeses and I hear no's. How did you know to say no if you couldn't hear it?
Okay, first off, I don't want to impact how you're going to vote unless you're going to vote against this. If
Well, we
you're
know where you
going to
stand.
if you're going to vote against this, just plug your ears. Then I'm gonna want you to listen. Anyhow, what we're trying to do is start a new social club. And by social club, I mean a club that we're going to have fun, and do things, and we want to go back to how it used to be 20 years ago. I've been here too many years, over 20 years now. And I have my history with events and stuff is I've done over 200 events here at Trilogy. And I've done from catering to setting up to taking down and working at them and different things and all different things. And we want to enhance what we're doing now. We want to kind of fill in the gaps as to what's happening with the other clubs and everything. And some of the other clubs have said to us, oh, we do that. You know, we don't want you to do it too. You don't need to do it also. But what we do is a little bit different. It may be the same, but we've been doing the same for 20 years since I've been here. And it's not hurt anything. It's different. Everybody does something a little different. And to, you know, everybody puts their own twist on things. And, you know, you can have a social night, and one social night could be about Western music, and the next social night could be about bebop or whatever it's called. I'm still back where it was, you know, mom and pop beating on the banjo. But it's just different. You know, we're going to be a localized club. We're not going to be traveling to Europe or anything like that, although that does sound like fun. But it's going to be a social club to do things that the residents here want to do. And it's not that you guys don't do it, we're just going to hopefully enhance what you do. And not hopefully, we will enhance what you do, but we're not going to take away from what you do. We're going to add to what you do. And it just is, just enhance is what we are about. And does anybody have any questions on it? Or Nancy, would you like to take over?
Yeah, I'm sorry, this is not a question and answer forum. So if somebody wants to comment vis-a-vis that, then fill out a form and we will entertain it.
Does anybody want to comment? How many here are for the new club? Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Yep, thanks, Janice.
Are we now, or?
Might as well, you're there. You're here.
Yes.
Some of you guys have been here a long time, some haven't. We're hoping that we can bring in some of the new folks that have moved in. You know, last month, 2 months ago, 3 years ago, 6 years ago, because the age range now here, as you might have noticed, is anywhere from someone that's 55 up to probably almost 100. So we've got a whole gap to kind of pick up. There were clubs before that worked in harmony. We had Trilogy on the Roof, which was probably the primo club we ever had. And they did everything. They brought in musicals, they brought in plays. They just did wonderful things. The founder passed away, her name was Sandy Rubin, and in 2016 that club closed. But at that time we had World Fest, we had drama, we had the Italian Club, we had Connections, we had the Latin Club. So I mean, there are clubs purposefully, I think, it was a question Tracy kind of said, which made us think, you know, what is your purpose? Well, our purpose is to provide entertainment, fun, something for the owners to do that makes us a primo resort. And there are people today that don't live in Trilogy that when they retire, guess where they want to go? They want to come here. You certainly see some of these folks as ambassadors that come in and they go, well, I'm here with my mom, but I can't wait till we can move in here. So that's the atmosphere that we want. We want to provide some things that are local, that might be mixers, that might be with a DJ, it might be with a band, who knows? But we want to think out of the box. We want to bring back some old things, things that we found as owners were wonderful. And new things. You know, we want to ask the owners, if we're approved in a membership meeting, we have some ideas, but we want to get their input too. What do you guys want to do? I mean, we see this as a user-friendly club, that we may not provide everything that you may want, and we may provide some things like La Sierra University came out here several times and put on some of the most fabulous musical performances there ever was. And what they did is they provided donations. And the donations that were collected at the door, that's how we paid La Sierra. So I hope you vote for us. We're excited. That, you know, I can tell you that it's not the easiest thing to apply to be a new charter club. And I would only say that in the future, maybe we could make it a little easier. And it was new for us, new for management. So we appreciate your input. We did. And we look forward to hopefully that you'll say yes. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Janice Martinelli?
Can I step from here?
No, please, come up. People have a hard time hearing, sorry.
I'm 71 years old.
Really? I am. What I wanted to mention.
You have to, I'm sorry, you have to get close to the mic. Can you people all be the same height so you can?
I'm Janice Martinelli. Everybody hear that? I live in Corral Canyon. The last meeting I was at, I mentioned the fountain at the entrance when you first move in, get in from Corral Canyon, that the fountain and everything wasn't working correctly and it was overgrown. And the fountain wasn't working correctly and it was overgrown. And I mentioned it at the last meeting here, and miraculously, it was fixed. There are even ducks in it. But it doesn't work again, and it's been broken for probably a month or so. So I was in hopes that if I brought it up again today, that it could be considered again to fix it.
Okay,
I'll step in here. If you're talking about the one as you drive up to, Trilogy Parkway, right next to the first hole on the golf course, that's golf course property. We have no control over that.
Right, that's what you told me that last time, but somebody contacted them, a board member or somebody, because they fixed it. So I was just wondering, maybe the landscape guy that we have, maybe he was the one that, somebody contacted them because it was corrected. I was just thinking maybe, and also you said that we were going to be able to contact direct the owner, but it would be nice if somebody could just take the initiative to contact them and ask them about it.
well, we don't suggest contacting the owner directly. I mean, first of all, you're probably gonna have a very hard time doing that. And secondly, we don't need, 1,000 residents calling the golf course owner. But if you will tell us what your issues are, we always share those with the golf course. And let me, emphasize the word share. We have, as Lee said, we have no control over them. Sometimes they will choose, for instance, the other waterfall that's right out here. I have no idea what their schedule is. Some days it's on and some days it's on. It's off. And they just decide. And I think the one by the first hole is the same way. They run it sometimes, particularly if they're having a tournament or a wedding, they'll turn it on. But the rest of the time, they want to save electricity, so they turn it off. So they're kind of on their own schedule there. And even though it seemed to work this time, you talked to us, we talked to them, and it worked. I can't guarantee that that's always going to be the case.
Well, my only wish is that you would talk to them, and if they don't do it, then they don't do it. But
something worked last time, so it's worth the try.
All right, we'll definitely talk to them again. Thank you. And Tony Lopez.
Can you hear me? No? Can you hear me now? I wrote this down so I didn't forget it. So, on April 27th, there's going to be excuse me, MYTGI website training seminar, and I might not be able to attend that day. So I have a couple of suggestions that I would like to make. First one is that I would like to see prior newsletters put on the website. Currently, we only have 20, 23, and 2022. I would like to see prior years if doable. My second suggestion is I would like to see the first residential app, it's called Connect Resident, added to my TGI website as a link. I find that helpful when I want to, bring something to management's attention. But with that said, is that link or that app still functional? The reason I'm asking that is because I noticed right now, I was looking at my request, and I noticed that there's 4 of them that have not been addressed. Normally, it says completed when it's done, in progress when it's being worked, or open, and or completed. Pardon me. So I'd like to, before you add it on, make sure it's still functional, because it may not be anymore. I wanted to make another comment real quickly. I have 2 quick shout outs that I would like to make. One is to Joe, from the Common supervisor. I think he did a splendid job. On Monday, I was walking my dog at 7 a.m. and I walked up to the tennis courts, and the sprinkler heads between court 3 and 4 were running. There's 4 sprinkler heads up there, and there was spraying water all across. And I was going to wait until the office was open to, bring it to their attention, but I decided to take the bull by the horns, and I called Joe directly, and I asked him, "Hey, Joe, should the sprinkler be on?" And he said, not that he knew of. And I said, "Well, is there a timer going on because of they're on?" And he said, no timer is in effect right now. They're all turned off. So I said, "Well, you got sprinklers running?" And he said, "I would look into it." And so as I was walking down the hill from the tennis courts, streetball courts, already Jesus was on his way up there to look into it. So I think that's a real, I was impressed by Joe working that right away, okay? And so that was good. And by the time I went up there to play pickleball, they were already on. And then probably the other shout out that I would like to make is to Daniel. He used to be the maintenance worker here, and he had been working here for 10 years, and he no longer is working here. And I just wanted to say that he was a good, hardworking, honest employee. He had been here for 10 years, and now there is no handyman, maintenance person to do minor, small jobs and stuff. I mean, he was always, if we needed somebody in pickleball courts to be, leaves people on it, he would tell me. He would go up there one time, I was in the library room, the court, the shades were busted. They've been busted for a couple of days. I said, "Hey, Daniel, you can look into this?" I go back at night time to do puzzle, and it's fixed. And I remember him working with Dan to get the bathroom door in the outside pool area fixed. And so he was, I thought he was a good employee. I'd be a good employee, so I'm saddened to see him go. And when I was working, good employees were worth the weight in gold and stuff. I remember having battles with other departments when they tried to take my good employees away. And then my final comment here is there a reason why the amphitheater lights are on at nighttime? I noticed it all on, and there's a reason why. That's fine. If there's no reason why, then I think they should be on. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Tony. We'll certainly look into the amphitheater lights thing. I don't know what that's about, but we'll look into that.
So there's a timer on there, but I'm not here at night. Is it usually not on?
So, here it is.
Is the amphitheater usually not on? Is that what you're saying?
So they are on right now.
Or are they normally not on?
I think they're normally not on.
Okay.
At least I noticed just recently,
Yeah.
it's just not a safety light on.
So I know they're on the amphitheater itself, so golf course, so the amphitheater trellis, the lights, you're talking about the lights on the trellis, right? Or are you talking about those?
So all the lights, the sidewalk lights going up, they're all on.
Okay.
The light in the background, that's on. There's another light, I think over the dance area.
So I think the lights going up to the pad, it should be on, right, for safety purposes, if people go up there. I think those are all on timers. I think the amphitheater lights on the trellis, you could do it manually by switch, but it's also a timer. I can always talk to Horizon, who's our contracted vendor, to see what's going on with that, if that's supposed to be on or not. But I think, my opinion, I think you guys would want that on, correct, for safety purposes, if you were to be out there in the evenings.
To me, it should not be on. I mean, otherwise people are using that as a dog park at nighttime. They're using it, because it's on like 8 p.m. When I notice it.
Okay, so let's check it out and decide what we want to do and see what the issues
We
are.
can have our security company check that. She walks that, our officers walk that at 10:15 every night, so we can monitor that.
It should be on, fine. It should not be on, somebody has to, costs and stuff and so on. And,
Okay, thanks, Tony. And we're gonna look into the My TGI Connect link.
Yeah, we can work on that with the immigration team. We'll take a look at that. I know FSR Connect works because I've signed on it today multiple times, so that's not the issue, Tony. But say that again. With FSR Connect, you can sign into that. It's a workable site. In fact, I was on it twice today, so I know that it works. Okay. We'll talk with the integration team to see if we can get a hyperlink on My TGI so you can go right to that site. Okay. So we'll look at that.
It is there, it is there.
But it's page, right?
May work properly.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That's the one that says page, where you can go and do your payment. Yeah. So, and that might be something we could do in our training session too. We're talking about the training sessions. We do have one session scheduled this month. If there is demand, then we will schedule another one. But we have to see what the demand's going to be. Okay, thank you for.
Okay. Thanks to everyone. Let's move on to the consent calendar.
All right, so we have a lengthy consent calendar this month, but we'll start off with the approval of minutes from the March 7th open session, committee minutes for design review, P-card approval for February 2023, investment approvals for April 2023, PCL copier repair ratified, Noble Canyon gate repair ratified, Majeska gate repair ratified, filter number 1 rebuild ratified, 8765 Cuyamaca ceiling repair ratified, 8789 Cuyamaca roof repair ratified, High Reach Blue Water Sports Club ratified, Ballard fixture ratified, Cahuilla leak repair, 23853 Cahuilla leak repair, 9122 Espinosa Guardian plumbing ratified, 23847 Cahuilla ratified, Majeska Larkspur motor replacement ratified. And last but not least, 23763 concrete grinding ratified. Which one?
The last one, there's no, street act, no street names. But it's complete.
Oh, 23763, oh yeah, concrete grinding ratified, sorry. You confused me, Dan.
Alright.
Does the board have any questions on any of the repairs that have been done?
Does anybody want to pull any of those items, or do I hear a motion to approve as presented?
I will move that we approve the consent calendar item A through Q. I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, next we have the financial statements and financial report.
Thank you, George. For our year-to-date financial report for a month ending February 28, 2023, we performed a review of the statements for accuracy and integrity, and all statements of fairly stated and budget variances have been explained. For our summary of reserve funds, our year-to-date balances, which include our beginning year balance, homeowner assessments, interest earned, and expenditures made. For the master, we're at $5,666,343. Condo, we're at $1,639,196. Elevator at $695,659, and a total of $8,001,198. Our liquidity ratios, we are healthy on all three cost centers. Master, we're at 1.4, condo 15.5. We have $0 in payables in elevator, so we're completely liquid there. For our aging and uncollectible HOA over 60 days, master, we're at 4. Condo, we have 1. Elevator, we have 1. Master's summary of operations and budget. Operating revenue, we're at a positive variance of $28,212. Operating expenses, positive variance of $56,434. And our net income is a positive variance of $84,647. For our year-to-date variances, for operating revenue, we're over budget $28,212, resulting from the bumper crop timing allocations of our avocado revenue, communications royalties, over budget due to increase in communications provider subscriptions, and miscellaneous homeowner charges are over budget due to increase in address tiles and RFID purchases. It is important to note that when we are over budget in this area, we don't make money off of this. So whenever we're over budget with our revenue for homeowner charges, we do have that coming out of our operating side, so we'll be over budget there as well. For operating expenses, utilities were over budget $13,942. Electricity is over budget due to delayed billing from previous fiscal year and rate increases. Potable and AG water balancing us out. We're way under budget there due to active water conservation. Gas is over budget due to major increase from the gas company. The electricity golf course is over budget due to previous fiscal year invoices paid. Landscape, we're over budget $2,605. Irrigation repairs and slope irrigation repairs were under budget due to fewer needed repairs. And then we were over budget in avocado extras due to emergency services required due to the recent rainstorms. We had Ernie and his team come out and clear some of those drains during the heavy rainstorms that we had. Pool and spa were over budget due to needed repairs, $3,347. Spa and fitness were under budget, $1,133. Majority of which came from our equipment repair contract, the extensions and scheduled maintenance visits. For our events, over budget $35,053. This is due to incorrect budget calculations for 22-23. I sit up here and I poor Mary, I report on an ever-growing variance to this budget. I think it's important to be transparent here. We did have a budget calculation error. So she's budgeted $45,200 in her budget. what should be in her budget is a $39,500 from events revenue. That is all the ticket sales that we do here at Trilogy. And then we also have $47,663 that should be in her budget from the TGIS events reimbursement. So that is missing. So if we had to correct budget items in there, her current budget would be $87,163. Her expenses right now are $81,909. So technically, she is under budget $5,254. First time I've seen her smile during this part of the presentation. So, I thought it was important to do that. We do have this cleared up for our 23-24 budget. So the money's there, it's just not reported in the right area. So there's a big deficit on the expense side. So, the TGIS reimbursements that's sitting in our operating revenue just gets taken out from that. So moving on to common area. We're diving through our budgets next month. We're going to be reporting on March, which is the last month of our fiscal year. So we're going through and we're finding these variances for both AC heating and repair and HVAC, the same company, as well as Cintas that does our doormat service. We found they were sending our invoices to an incorrect location. So we are truing that area up. We are significantly under budget there, but that will be trued up when I report this again next month. Administration expense, we're under budget, $96,371. Big chunk of that obviously is from our payroll expense being under budget due to unfilled positions. On-site posts, due to previous unfilled positions, thank you. Our on-site print mail postage over budget due to all the extra mailers we've done. Accounting reimbursables over budget due to off-site file storage fees and increased print mail costs. We're over budget on legal collections due to paying a legal issue. Over budget on our special taxes due to non-received invoice for our Melrose taxes. And then we're over budget on management computer lease just due to the increased computer lease costs. Lastly, we're summary of operations and budget for our condos and elevator. For the condos operating revenue, we have a positive variance of $11. Operating expenses, positive variance of $3,867. Net income, positive variance of $3,878. For elevator operating revenue, we got a flat budget variance. Operating expenses were over budget $217 with our net income being over $217 as well. That concludes the February financial report.
Okay, thanks, Aaron. I'm gonna make a change in the agenda. The next thing on the agenda is a policy revision. And we've got a lot of pages to go through and redlined with changes here or there on the policy revision. And you're more than welcome to stay and listen to that later. It's gonna be tedious. I know some of you are here for the new club thing, so we will wait and do the policy revision to the last thing, so that if you desire to leave after we've covered that, you won't have to sit through that. But you're more than welcome to sit through it if you like. Yeah, everybody gets a star if you make it through that. Yeah. So do I hear a motion to approve financials as reported?
I make a motion to approve the February financials as reported.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. So we will move on to committee review.
All right, so the board, along with policies, took a look at all of our committees and has gone through to verify if there are any committees that are not performing or no longer needed. We have quite a long list of committees, but I will simply go over the committees that the board has chosen to dissolve. The first one will be the Energy Task Force. The second will be Facilities. Third is Lifestyles. Fourth, Productions. And fifth is Rules and Regs. We do want to make sure that everyone understands we so appreciate all of the help that's been given by all of our volunteers that have served on all our committees. of course, the thank you luncheon that we're doing. Anyone that has worked on any of these committees, we still want you to come and enjoy, us being able to say thank you to you. And that's it.
Okay. I think it's important to point out too, some of these were kind of ad hoc committees,
Yes.
like the Energy Task Force. So if we have something in the future that requires a committee looking at that, we can put that committee or a committee like that back together. Same thing with rules and regs. We normally make changes to the rules and regs as needed, and it's usually every 2 or 3 years. So we just made a lot of changes to the rules and regs last calendar year. And if we require that in the next couple of years, we can put together a committee. With the rules and regs, it was almost a new committee every time we did it anyway. So we'll just have to start from scratch.
So we'll need that vote for approval.
Yep. So we need a motion to approve the dissolution of the committees as reported.
I so move.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? Next thing on the agenda is the canyon entrance light repairs.
Okay, canyon entrance light repairs. So we currently are contracted with Horizon Lighting to service our lighting in our clubhouses. We have several canyons here in Trilogy, and unfortunately, we don't have anyone maintaining or even surveying those lights. And as a result of years of neglect, it looks like the lighting in our canyon entrances, they definitely need an upgrade. A lot of lights are broken. A lot of lights are in places where there's no longer a tree to light up. Some of the lights are fluorescence versus LEDs, so it's a mismatch, and also power issues. So we surveyed the entire community of all the canyon entrance lights and came up with a scope of work to bid out to different vendors. Management reached out to 4 different vendors to provide proposals, and the management is looking for the board to approve the proposal by Trout Electric to replace the canyon entrance lights at each canyon at a cost not to exceed $3,884, and also to approve a $1,000 contingency for any unforeseen electrical issues that may be discovered during the process. I forgot to mention that we're only focusing on lights that are broken. We're not replacing all of them. We're pretty much going to be matching the lights that are there now, that are the LEDs.
Okay. Any questions?
No.
So you said we're gonna match the lights now and we're not going to LED in every case?
Oh, no, it's going to be LED in every case. So the current LEDs that we have now, right now, we're going to be matching those.
That makes sense. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
I
heard a motion in my ear.
I was so moved to make the motion that George didn't hear.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposal from Trout Electric for $3,884 with a contingency of $1,000.
Second.
I think I just heard the motion. So is there any further discussion?
I would like to just make one comment, and, because Dan had me, and I agreed to check the lights after dark one night, at one of the entrances, but I think there's landscape lighting that is buried now, by some landscape. Are those gonna be moved or landscaped?
Yeah, if it's not going to be uplighting a tree, it's going to be capped. And if we could reuse that light fixture, we're going to reuse that light fixture.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Dennis. Lease was incomplete.
But it was to the point.
Okay. Second was there, Scott. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, next up is the Lake Center trellis change order. So I believe it was, I don't know if it was last month or the month prior, we had a approval for pilot painting to replace all the deteriorated wood and paint the entire trellis at the Lake Center patio. Upon commencement of work, the vendor had noticed several additional items that needed to be replaced due to wood rot. We had a general contractor come out initially, SoCal Builders, who I have worked with in the past, and they kind of specialize in, wood replacements and structures and such. So they provided the rubric initially, and they were here, they surveyed it, they brought a ladder, they were here for a while, so I kind of figured they thoroughly looked at it and provided a decent proposal, or a scope of work to bid out. As it turns out, there was a lot more wood rot involved. The newest vendor, what they did was they got up on the ladder, they were poking holes, and they were finding wood rot. So it was kind of hard to see, by looking at it, but once you really dig into that wood, they were finding a lot of wood rot. So again, we're back at it to where we got to make this, structurally sound and safe. And so we had them provide a proposal. I did talk to them and let them know, hey, this is kind of almost like a gut punch because it's a lot more than we had anticipated. It's possible we wouldn't have done the repairs if we knew it was this extensive. So fortunate enough, the vendor sympathized with our plight, and they did give us a pretty decent, significant discount because they wanted to continue the project here, and they wanted us to not have to bid out. They wanted our board and our residents to know that they want to make it right, and they are going to give us a decent price. So with that said, they did provide a proposal, and sorry. So management is looking for the board to approve the proposal by Pilot Painting to replace the additional pieces of deteriorating wood at the Lake Center trellis at a cost not to exceed $11,000. And what they are replacing is, grab that real quick. So initially, the wood repairs was about a little over $8,000, which it included one post, one crossbeam, and 7 lattice for over $8,000. So for this $11,000, what they're going to be replacing is one beam, one post, 6 beams, and 11 lattice. So significantly more with only a small markup of cost. So we are looking for the board to approve this change order by Pilot Painting to continue this project and complete it at a cost not to exceed $11,000.
Dan, I think it's important to note, we're not happy about that revised price, but it's cheaper than tearing down and replacing the whole structure.
Yeah.
That's what's important to note, much cheaper.
And the good thing with Pilot Painting, initially they were the cheapest bid. I didn't, based off of cost alone, I did reach out to other FSR accounts. I have a connection in Talega who has used them extensively for projects like this and highly recommended them. And the work they've done so far, they were quick, they did a great job. I think that, they'll do quality work, but the best part is they were the most cost effective out of the people we did reach out to.
I will make a comment. I understand your comment regarding it's cheaper than starting all over. Having said that, I can remember 4 or 5 years ago, I'm not real sure on the timeline, we spent a significant amount of money on that trellis. So I'm beginning to wonder if we would be better off starting from scratch with something besides wood, because I don't know if it's the fact that it's adjacent to the lake or the spray from those mountains or what, but that wood there seems to deteriorate at an abnormal rate compared to other structures that I've been associated with. So, Richard, do you recall us making changes to that years ago?
I think it was repaired probably 10 or 15 years ago.
No, the one I'm remembering has not been that long. It's been since I was on the board. I know we spent money.
It was probably, before I was on the board, I'm thinking it was probably maybe 4 years ago then. In the back of my mind, I think it was about $5,000 that we paid to make the repairs at that time. Yeah, I could be wrong, but George, I think you raised a good point. if we repaired it 3, 4, 5 years ago, and now having to do it again, I think it might be much more economical to do something with aluminum wood or something like that. We can match the dark brown, I believe, and match what's there, but with.
Keep in mind the wrought iron that, of that patio they're all connected to the wood. So if it is aluminum wood, I'm pretty sure we can't connect that. I have aluminum wood in my backyard and you can't put anything on there. It's especially not a wrought iron fence that's connected on both sides, and it's not gonna hold it. I think if we were to go with a different option, we might want to look into maybe like recycled plastic with a wood embossed exterior. I do know that's quite costly, but it's always something to look into as well. I think aluminum wood is probably out of the question. I'm not a contractor, but I do know it's not very sturdy, especially with the wrought iron being into it. And
I understand what you're talking about with stability. Maybe we could do it with some steel posts on at least 4 corners to help provide the rigidity. But I think maybe rather than spending $11,000 on really replacing what is already there, we might be able to, in the long run, save some money by going to a different material.
Well, we're already into this, right?
So here's an option. So what we could really do right now, if you really want to explore different options, we can just continue the original proposal. They would have to just paint the structure. It's already paid for. It's on hold just to see if we want to do these additional repairs. We could always just get them to paint it, and then it'll be fine. There is definitely wood rot. It's just we gotta act on it. So if we were to look into a different material, we would start jumping on that as well, just to see what we can do with that. But so pilot painting will finish the trellis. They'll paint the remainder of it. They've already done the initial wood replacements from the original scope of work, but they didn't paint it yet. So they can paint it, and then we can, if you want, continue looking into different options for material.
That was about $2,000, wasn't it?
The paint was about $1,250 on top of the repairs that was in the $8,000. So it was a total of 10. I know that the total was $10,050. That we've already spent. So.
Okay. Well, Dan, those pictures, that looks bad.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know how much longer that structure's gonna hold up with the pictures I saw.
I mean, lattice is more decorative, I guess. It's not a structural thing. The beams, there's quite a bit, and there's one post that once you rip those boots off, that you don't notice it until you take the boots off. It's completely rotted out. So that one's a big concern. Yeah, I mean, we would definitely want to look into this right away if we were to not pursue this.
Well, if we proceed with this and keep the wood, it seems like we need to get the vendor to do a better job of somehow waterproofing this, because it just doesn't seem to be lasting very long.
Yeah, and I know the fountains, that anemometer has been an issue for a while. It's actually we have another vendor out who took it back to his place or his shop to get me a proposal for repairs on that, because right now, when the wind kicks up, those fountains do not turn off, which is why they're off currently. The spray is just getting everywhere, so we're trying to get that fixed as well. I think that will help. I think it's right next to those fountains that it gets a lot of water on it. Unless we're maintaining it constantly, where you gotta caulk the joints, make sure no water will get inside. It's something we have to be on top of. I think it's just been neglected.
Dan, I think when you had me go out there one day, several months ago now, and we inspected it, we looked like some of those saddle cuts had been made and not sealed before they were assembled.
Yeah, it looked like they never even primered it. It looked like it was bare wood, yeah.
They were gonna prime anything that they cut.
So this is pilot painting. What they're doing, in addition to priming it, before that they're putting, I didn't even know they're doing this. They're putting this product on it where I forget the name of it. It's almost like a termite deterrent. It's some sort of chemical, you know what it is? Yeah, they're putting a sealant of some sort, and they're primering it, and then they're painting it. So they're protecting the wood that they're installing, which is a good thing, but I think the existing structure itself has a lot of unprotected areas.
That's what they're doing now. We weren't sure that any of that was done.
Well, you could see it wasn't, you could see it was bare wood when it was coming out, so it was definitely not done.
Well, I'm gonna add on to what George said. We're already, $10,050 into this. Okay, if we can buy some time and not spend the additional $11,000, why don't we look into some kind of a version of a aluminum engineered so that it's going to be rigid, and just make a valued decision rather than end up with a $21,050 system that might have the same issues in another 5 or 6 years. Might be cost-wise to do that for the association.
Okay. The only question is safety. I mean, is there a danger of any of those cross members?
Well, we could have them look at it and maybe, put a 2x4 strong back across it.
I would say yes.
Structure. It doesn't bear
So,
any weight other than it's.
Going back to what you said, Lee, when we went out there, that day we had to do an emergency, we had to prop it up with a 4x4 basically, because not that much time prior, it wasn't drooping like that. So in a matter of, I don't even know what it was, a couple weeks, it dropped significantly in that one area that we knew was bad. These seem to have, that one post at the base is definitely a cause of concern. And I have noticed there is some beams that kind of hit each other. At the joint, there's a lot of wood rot, so that's a cause of concern as well, where we might have to prop it up eventually. So I would say, yeah, we're on a time crunch on that.
Let me ask one more question. For $21,050, we would end up with what we would think is a structurally sound structure, properly primed and sealed at every joint, that we might be able to get another 5 or 6 years out of.
I think we get more if we just maintain it. If we just keep up on, we can even have our in-house guys get up there and caulk the joints. As long as we just maintain it, I think it'd be good for a while. I think the problem is being next to those fountains. I think just the air alone, even if it's not spraying towards you, you can still feel it. It's just a moist atmosphere. I think it's crucial to keep that trellis maintained. It's a lot of maintenance. You got wood next to water like that, so I do feel if we move forward with this, it will be structurally sound. But then it all depends on what do we do from here. We got to maintain it.
Let me ask one more follow-up question.
Yeah.
If we were to decide to support what's there, how quick could you get, do you think, and I know you're just going to guess, and this is out of left field, get a quote from Alumawood to install a properly engineered Alumawood structure, to where if that was timely enough, we can make a decision in 30 days. If there's a safety factor, we could decide to tear the whole structure down and wait till the Alumawood structure, if it made financial sense. You have any sense for that?
Yeah, I could hopefully get it by the next board meeting. It's difficult to say. Certain vendors don't seem to respond as quickly as I would like. This one, since I've already bid it out, I think I could utilize some of what I've used. I would definitely use somebody else. I could reach out to I know in Ladera we did a structure out of HDPE, but I remember the lead time was so long and it was very, very expensive. I just know that. I know it's going to be very costly. I know you're saying Alumawood, but I have the Alumawood where it's insulated, and that doesn't make it stronger. It just makes it's just a better quality, like as opposed to like sound. It's still dense. It's not very. I don't think Alumawood is really an option. I just don't think it is. We can ask, but I don't think it is. I think it's going to be, if we were to move into something, it'd be more like a recycled plastic.
Let me make this suggestion. I think it's going to take too long, and I worry about the safety issue with those cross beams, people walking under it, whatever. I think I would suggest that we go ahead with repairs as presented here. we make sure that there's a maintenance schedule.
Yeah, we can do that.
And make sure that we're using quality sealants on this to keep the water out.
Yeah, you need a paint caulking that will stretch. We've, in my previous location, we had to do a lot of wood maintenance.
In the meantime, that should get us, I don't know, 6 to 8 years out of this, if it's done correctly. And then in the meantime, we could start to think about and even reserve for replacement when it's time to replace
Yeah,
it.
it should be noted, you have 44,000 in the reserves for the wood trellis, that trellis.
Yeah.
That's all the money you got.
Mhm.
So, Lumenwood, I don't know, my gut feels gonna be much higher than that, so with that in mind.
You might ought to think about, again, when we do, or when you guys do reserves next year, you might want to look at the cost of something other than wood when the end of life comes up for that asset, so that you have something better. And, you know, I have a friend that does construction, and I think I mentioned to you this before, he's walked by there and he goes, you know, somebody ought to put a plastic cap on the top of those cross members, because that water just sits up there. And when he does something like that, he puts a plastic cap there that makes the water run off, and it's not absorbed into the wood.
I did ask that. I think we had a subcommittee and we talked about that. I don't know if it's the same one you're talking about, but when I asked one of the vendors who was a general contractor, he said they could do that, but his concern was water might get trapped under there at that point. So if water gets in there and it's kind of sitting there, it might be worse than blocking it. That's what he told me.
But you can get a metal form cast too for that. I've got it in my house and it definitely helps because I was getting dry rot on the top of my trellis. And it's a metal cap, you can have a preformed and made for that. So I would look at that as an option for that.
Yeah, I think it's worth looking at.
In fact, you can have a house on show.
Okay, so where are we? I'll make a motion to approve the proposal by Pilot Painting to replace the additional pieces of wood at the Lake Center patio trellis at a cost not to exceed $11,000.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? And let's make sure, I know I'm overstating the obvious here, that we get this on the maintenance schedule.
Most definitely.
And looked at and taken care of.
Yes.
You are. Okay? So the next thing on the agenda is something about club.
Okay, so we do have paperwork that was submitted for a new social club. I know you guys have had a chance to review that. We did have one other club reach out to Mary. I provided the emails in there for you. The Connection Club originally reached out stating that it was, duplicating their activities. They then reached back out to her to basically say that, the new club had promised that they weren't going to be impacting them, and so Joe was okay with that. I'm not sure if Joe's here. Joe Kane? Joe Kine? I guess not.
That's interesting because Joe had to jump through hoops to get the Connection Club started because one of the other clubs had a problem with it.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, I think it's the International Club.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, does the question have any board? Does the board have any questions regarding this club?
No.
Somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the Happening Club. It's a new charter club.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Eventually, we get a whole bunch of new happenings.
That'll leave me a room.
Okay, now on to the boring part. We're going to go back to policy revision. So we're going to look at this page by page. Line by line. They're going to put it up on the screen.
Yeah, past it.
I don't know.
It's gonna be, you can.
Yeah, that's.
Good, okay. Hope it gets better.
Every year, for instance, our landscaper comes to us and says, "So this year it costs you 10, next year's gonna cost you 10." They have to pay. So everybody is experiencing inflation. So what we decided to do is, as I said, we maintain the services. Next year, it's just costing us 5%.
I have a sales permit.
You said you need, so there was no way to cut that without cutting services. It's just like you was at the picture. Last week. I had that issue, I had to go out to order groceries.
Is there a meta fact there's races in that far? Or just a regular, like, even though I put that under there, so that open would not sit there. Because I was sprinkled every time I sprinkled.
Try to suggest that something like this.
That would be cheaper. Let's just make it work. I think
Okay, we're still in session, by the way. Okay, let's go.
Okay, so before we start that, I'm gonna go by title changes, and I just do a list, and then we'll go into notes. We did revisions first. Oh, we had changes. I'm just gonna go down.
Are you causing trouble now too?
You're gonna sit through this?
You deserve this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Run for the board.
Yeah, you should come to
Yeah, maybe you'll get your just desserts. You know, all four of you could move forward.
All right, so we're gonna go through this as quickly as we can, guys. We had three different sections for all the policies that were reviewed. We had title change, which included change from like lifestyles manager to lifestyles coordinator. Contact information change. The policy itself did not change, just interchangeable information did. So I'm gonna go over a list of those where we had nothing but title change. That includes the Trilogy fundraiser policy, the TGMA, so this is not part of the packet I gave you. I'm going over the ones that we are not going over word by word. TGMA theatrical equipment procedure, the Trilogy and Glen Ivy Community Services funding request, Trilogy Chartered Club policy. Those were the policies that, like I said, we had title change or just contact information change, nothing to the policy changed. The next section had actual revisions, and they will be posted up behind us. The first policy that we're going to deal with is the estate sale guidelines. Is it? Yeah, okay. And I'll just say page. So the first revision or the red line on this is regarding the number of the code went from 4 to 5 digit. We added or cell phone instead of just.
54 digits. No wonder I can't get that in.
There's a red line
There
in the 4, I can't see it. The 4 is the red line.
Well, I think we should go to 54 digits. Nobody out
So what's it supposed to be, a 5?
5.
And 4 is gone.
Well, the 4 digit is the directory code, and that is mentioned in here also.
I'm gonna put a slash.
Okay. It's right on the 4 line, so it looks, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, adding or cell phone, it used to be only connected to a landline. A few lines down, then it goes to a getting rid of, if there is not a current landline on the property, local cell phone, nowadays a cell phone or landline, you have your choice. Down at the bottom, hours were changed from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. And on the next page, it was a grammatical error, it just needed an S. It said post and it has posts. Next policy is the expectations of management operations. We are changing, the open session meetings were changed from 6 to 3. That's noted in this policy. On the next, that's the middle of the page under board meeting schedule.
It's not redlined, it's a black and white copy.
So our printer actually automatically prints black and white to save money. I apologize. If you guys want to just turn around. And-
Okay, that's all right, just tell us.
Okay, I will tell you where it is. So under board meeting schedule, open session meetings, it changed from 6 to 3 p.m. Next page, we will go to board packet delivery. We are going to be on the end of the first line. It had 7 calendar days. That's being brought down to 5, and this is primarily due to when we're receiving our final financials. From corporate, it's making it virtually impossible to get it out any earlier. Then the last line, we are no longer submitting them via Dropbox. They will now go through MC Connect portal. Next page, we go to financials, middle of the page, second line. The first draft of the preliminary financial statement is to be received by management 1 week before the board meeting. And then down at the last line, we're changing that, the financial statement is due to 5 days instead of 8 days prior to the board meeting. And that's when our financial officer approves. Next page was simply updating all of the phone numbers for general manager, assistant general manager, facilities, and clubhouse. And that is the changes for that policy. Next, moving on to general policy for reserve funds. In the beginning on the first page, basically the only changes there were a few grammatical errors that we found. Second page has no changes. We go to the third page, and we are removing the clause in there for the reconstruction fund because it no longer exists. That has been exhausted. That is the only changes for the expenditure policy, or the reserve policy. We're moving on to the expenditure policy. This one's a little bit lengthy. First page, down towards the bottom under support. The terminology was changed from the financial advisor to the board to include the finance committee of the board, including the president and treasurer, or designated financial advisor to the board. Second page, title changes. Maintenance manager is now known as the facilities manager. The sports club manager has been moved to the operations manager. Lifestyles manager is now a lifestyles coordinator. And then we've added into this facilities administrator. Down towards the bottom under work orders, the amounts that the general manager is authorized to approve have been increased from 2,500 to 4,000. And that's the same on both lines, well, all 4 lines. So on both lines under work orders, and then also under activity and event calendars performance. Next page, we go down to employee expenses. P card limits have changed, also who they were issued to has changed. This is something that actually was approved in a previous board meeting a couple months ago, so it's been updated in the expenditure policy. Purchase card with the limit of 4,000. There's one authorized, and that's to the operations manager due to all of the expenses that go to lifestyles. The second line, purchase card with a $2,500 limit, 2 are authorized for the general manager and facilities manager. Purchase card with $1,000 limit, 3 are authorized, the assistant general manager, the lifestyles coordinator, and the facilities administrator. Next line, reimbursable expenses, title change from from lifestyles manager and maintenance manager to our current operations and facility manager. A petty cash limit of $200. I'm actually not sure why this is red because this was in here before and that has not changed. So not quite sure why that was highlighted red. Down at the bottom for scope, we are taking out obligations that involve taking out large sums of money and or having long duration of periodic payments and clarifying that a little bit to say currencies over 5,000 and or have a duration for 12 months or longer. So it's clarification on that policy. Next page, down at
That just sounds very stilted.
Which
Obligations
one?
that involve currencies over $5,000.
Monies.
what's that?
Monies versus currencies.
Okay. Funds, money, funds, let's do funds.
Obligations that involve money over.
Money doesn't sound right either.
Money doesn't sound right either.
I was.
Funds
and
funds.
expense over.
Expense.
You want to expense?
And expense.
Cross it out, yeah.
I think expenses and
Okay.
currencies sound weird.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna get it in pounds or euros.
Bitcoin.
All right, so we have changed that to expenses over 5,000 and or have a duration for 12 months or longer. Next page, down at the bottom, work orders in excess of 4,000 or more changed for 2,500. Next page after that, again, that amount of 2,500 is under approval of commitment down towards the bottom. Again, that $2,500 amount was upgraded to 4,000. And then down at the bottom, title change from maintenance manager to facility manager under procedures. Next page, title changes for the first portion. Approval of commitment towards the middle of the page. Once again, we have the changes of amounts from 2,500 to 4,000. And then down under procedures, we have title changes, that's it. Next page, title changes. So we're on page 7. Title changes at the top and middle. Then when we come down to the bottom under approval of commitment, we were then updating the amounts on the purchase cards with a limit up to 4,000 instead of 1,500. And there are now 6 cards authorized. And then at the top of the next page, it lists how they are authorized. Purchase card with 4,000 limit, operations manager. Purchase card with $2,500 limit, GM and FM. Purchase card with $1,000 limit would be AGM, LC, and FA facilities administrator. More title changes under procedures. And those are the only changes on that page. Page 9, we have about 4 lines down under procedures. This is once again highlighted in red. There's one petty cash fund of $200 under the control of the GM. Was added in. And title changes at the bottom. Page 10, we have a lot of changes. So under checks, we have added in the unanticipated matters under scope, checks and then scope. Unanticipated matters that require immediate attention and payment arise from time to time. Rush payments for approved vendors can be processed through corporate accounting website without requiring approval from board of directors. So in other words, if we need to do a rush payment, we don't have to go to you guys first. We will be eliminating the section.
What does that entail? What does that include?
We have done rush payments for, say we're having a vendor come out for an event and they needed a deposit or it's last minute and we need to get a check prepped for them. that would be sooner than the normal processing time. It usually takes a couple weeks to get a check processed.
But this is within your spending limits.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's not clear.
Do you
Okay.
want to reword that in any way?
No, I
Because we
get
can.
it. I just didn't see it at first.
Yes,
Okay.
This is rather basic, but I see MC on this page several times. What does MC stand for?
it was up at the front. It stands for our management company. There you go. Corporate. Yep, it's our corporate office.
Management, okay.
Management. It's the corporate office.
I've heard of them.
Subsidiary of it,
Okay, then, moving on, so section I, had to do with emergency checks. Yeah, back there. We are taking out this entire section because we do not have checks on site. They all go through corporate, and that's why we can do a rush payment. When we have a check that's needed, we can do a rush payment and have it FedEx here within the next business day. So all of the rest of that page is taken out under I. And then we go on to page 11, last page of the document. Under other related matters, third bullet down, it was added, so MC, so management company, corporate, is signatory to the accounts. Checks are prepared, signed, and released to pays by designated responsible management company staff. That was already in the policy. We added an authorized board member may add their signature to corporate signatures if a contractor or vendor requires a signature of the board of director member. So apparently that's come up, didn't know. Expenditure, policies, approvals, and so the new revision date obviously is gonna go in, that's just the original date that it was written, September 2011. That's the end of, that was the worst one, guys. So that's the end of that one. Moving on to the social media, used to be called the Facebook policy. We're suggesting it's renamed to social media because it is incorporating more. The purpose, the Facebook page / group, there's a change in title there. So we're adding group, not just page, we're adding group to all of those under purpose. When we go down to permissions, the designated administrators, we're saying at least 2 members, so it could be more. Mary, do you want to, honestly, you came up and did these, you want to go over these real quick?
The changes are mainly just gonna be a little bit more involvement from the committee and the board. I suggested that we at least have one board member as an admin, on there, and there be, I think the other stuff that I said was, that we could remove any or delete any comments that were rude or.
So it's down to derogatory comments or comments that go against the rules of the Facebook page or group will be deleted without notice by any page administrator. We've also, did you have a question on that one?
I don't understand at the top, what is Facebook page / group? What does group mean?
So the page is open for everyone to see. Anybody in Temescal Valley, Corona, it's open for everyone to view. The group is more private for just Trilogy residents.
Okay.
So to be a member of the group, you have to be accepted. You have to request to be accepted.
Let me ask a question. The title, Trilogy Facebook policy, we've now changed to the Trilogy social media policy, correct?
Right.
And we'll make that decision today. But down through all of this, it looks like we're only referring to our Facebook page. Have I missed it?
Yeah, it should be for Nextdoor as well. But Nextdoor is different because Nextdoor doesn't have admins.
Well, Nextdoor, we have no control over what's on there.
Right.
Okay, I made a mistake one time of responding, I thought positively to a comment about the golf course. And after I could sit down for a week because I was playing viciously, I thought.
I don't know much about Nextdoor. I know Nancy does.
I'm an admin, so I do know there are admins that people can report foul language, whatever, and it's in people on Nextdoor can go in under their own name and look at what the rules are as an avenue of additional things you can do. But people are, they try and use it for, political and religious things thrown in, and, some of it is scam. So Nextdoor reserves the right to remove anything, because it's not a blog that somebody owns, it's a Nextdoor join. I was just thinking on ours, do we have a disclaimer today that says that group, whatever?
It's on the actual group. When
Okay.
you join in, it's on there as a set of
So,
rules.
and that's important to have that, because then they're told right up front that this could happen to you if you're really.
Well, to Lee's point, at least tangentially, we're changing it to social media, but we don't speak of any social media besides Facebook, so why didn't we just leave it Facebook?
Yeah.
Yeah, I started with that, then I kept looking for something else in a broader Facebook category. And Nextdoor Trilogy could be the world, because it doesn't limit it to anything.
Well, Nextdoor Trilogy is in itself something. Then you've got Nextdoor, which based on where you live, right now it goes clear up to Lake Matthews, it goes down past almost to Marietta, picks up Corona, it's a huge area. So maybe what we need, and I know I'm not part of this conversation, but if Mary's trying to put maybe some controls on Nextdoor because there are issues with some of our things, or put something, then it's just another header that would say Nextdoor, and then just,
Yeah,
because
but
it is
we're-
social media.
Next door is really hard to control because we don't admin it.
Exactly. I mean, I don't think we get involved in Nextdoor.
The only time you have, and it was not long ago, there were podcasts. And there were things that were going on next door that some people felt should have gone. You kind of remember that?
Yeah, but that was not because it was on Nextdoor, it was because it shouldn't have been going anywhere.
Well,
So that was more of a general issue, not a Nextdoor issue. And we can't control Nextdoor. So I don't know why we want to have policies vis-a-vis Nextdoor, since it's out of our control.
So we'll leave that as Facebook.
yeah, I think,
So I would suggest we leave this Trilogy Facebook policy unless we're going to include a broader social media comment, but I don't see one comment in here on anything other than Trilogy's Facebook.
And then no one here uses
And I'm looking for page or slash group. I don't think group expands it past the Facebook, does it?
No.
No. So
What's that?
why change it? Social media is I think misleading.
If we decide to add more social media, we'll have to amend this.
Yep.
And at that time, we can call it the social media policy.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay?
Comment number C was added, any new official Facebook page or group must be approved by the board. Any non-authorized Facebook page or group using Trilogy logo or Trilogy images will receive a cease and desist letter by the board and its legal representation. And then add group at the end. Are we good with that one, or do you need any other changes on that
There's
one?
just an incongruity in here. In the very first sentence, you capitalize page group. Throughout the rest, you don't capitalize it. So it's either capitalized or it's not.
We'll take it off, it will not be capitalized.
Which one's
Some
will be,
of
I'm
us
sorry?
like capital letters, you know.
I know, I was asking right now.
These
What George just said?
What's not capped?
Oh, the first line, page and group were both
Oh,
capitalized
gotcha.
and all the rest were not. So we're gonna take the capitalized off.
It should be this, my policy, my preference would be they all be the same. George takes capitalization, so.
No, just for the proper capitalization.
Which I use frequently.
And you can also, you put quotes around everything.
Well, because I want you to pay attention.
Okay, moving on to the Trilogy credit card maintenance policy. We have, we made one grammar change under users, but equipment, we no longer, apparently at one point in time we had 7. We're down to 3 card readers, 1 at the Pacific Crest Lodge, 1 at Blue Water, and 1 at the Lake Center. So those numbers were changed. Down at the bottom, the types of items and services that may be purchased. We took away gate openers, we don't have those anymore. Replaced proximity cards with key fobs, added RFID tags, changed clubhouse to facility rentals, added facility rental deposits and security guard fees. Next page.
Is there a reason we don't use Discover? Or accept Discover?
That would be with the credit card company, not us. So it depends on what server you have taking the credit card payments, what cards they accept. We took off massage fees and esthetician fees. Those are no longer taken here. Next section.
Just again, an English thing. Shouldn't non-acceptable be unacceptable?
Well, I'm trying to figure out right here why it's crossed off and rewritten the exact same way.
Well, it was, I think it was hyphenated in one area and not hyphenated in the other.
Okay.
Or non-accepted payment, it doesn't matter. But I'm just going to capitalize it. Oh, for sure, it's a title.
A couple of grammatical, took the S off violations. HOA related is hyphenated. Over the phone payments, that's just a grammatical issue.
Well, it does say over the phone V payments.
Wow. I don't know.
And when we say light bulbs, we're talking about address light bulbs, correct?
Yes.
We might
Yes.
want to just add address light bulb.
Where is that? Oh,
Yeah. Right under landscape extra fees, then this is light bulbs.
Got it.
And we might want to also say address and number tiles, just so some of those old people know. We're all old people.
Okay.
And then now, but so we do take over the phone payments next. That's what it was. Over the phone payments are accepted. And we crossed out no over the phone payments will be accepted. Okay. TG made Blue Water Sports Club unlimited classes policy and procedure. First page down at the bottom under unlimited classes fees. This has changed a little bit. You want to give a brief overview?
We just changed the per class and unlimited.
So it used to be, we crossed off a bunch in here. It used to be that if a payment was missed,
They would have to pay, single price, where now if they're late, they just pay a $15 late fee.
right, and then if
Not per
they
class.
continue not to pay, that's if they've used any of the classes that month, and they haven't paid yet, they get a $15 fee. And then the next month, if they haven't used it, they're just not charged. Residents may pay by credit card and check or credit, you're right. Credit card, check, or money order. Next page, $9 per class instead of 10. Fees due by the 15th of the month instead of the last day of each month. Residents may pay by credit card, check, and again, there's an and. Credit card, check, comma, or money order. Weekly class fee of $10 was added. Newly added weekly rate is now available. Residents may choose this option when going on vacations and cannot commit to the entire month, but would still like to take an unlimited amount of classes for 1 week at a time. Under guest class fee, the $10 per class has been taken out, and then it's just left $10 per class for those guests accompanied by a resident. Credit cards or checks. Not sure what changed there.
You had a capital C there.
So we crossed off the capital and left the lowercase. Instructor was misspelled, so we took the S out of there. $30 base pay was added. I know there are a few instructors that they're earning more. We added in March 7th, 2023, well, we changed the date for the contract. They updated the contract with the instructors on March 7th. Going down to all instructors that are contracted with TGMA, again, the date change on the contract, and then crossing out all instructors receiving $30 per hour are not eligible for a salary increase. Remove the items, all instructors contracted after October 1st will receive $22 per hour of instruction and receive a $1 raise. Was taken out. Added in, all instructors will be on a sliding scale rate based on the number of students and popularity of the class. If an instructor keeps a consistent number of students of $20 or more in a class, they are eligible for an increase not to exceed $3 yearly. All instructors must have a minimum of 5 students enrolled in their class in order to keep the class open. If a class has less than 5 students on average attending for a duration of 6 weeks, the class will be considered for cancellation. Those items were added in.
Hey, Teresa, I have a question. It says all instructors, and I just would like to understand, all instructors that are contracted by TGMA, are they our employees or first service employees?
They're a vendor, they're contracted. So the instructors are considered a vendor to
So we don't get
TGMA.
99.
Yeah, we would have to. Corporate handles that though. Because yes, they are being paid by weekly checks. That was the rest on that page. Third page was a spelling grammatical error, and that was it. So those are the changes for group water. Now to property access policy for realtors. There was a comma that was taken out on that first paragraph, just a couple of grammatical errors. We changed phone numbers for the Lake Center and business hours for both Lake Center and Pacific Crest Lodge, updated those. Took out on gate remote entry access code, took out the word remote and added entry code. So it's gate entry code access. Again, under that, changing remote to entry code multiple times. They used to have to return them to the office. That was taken out, and it says will be deactivated by the end of the business day. So we're talking about access codes for the realtors. They're given an access code now that is valid only for one day. They have to call in each time they need a new one. So we changed that from the gate remotes they used to have to turn in. Guest access code does not include for the canyon, in which you'll be having a listing in order to hold your open house, because we don't need a specific canyon in the system now. Changed the 3-digit code to a 4-digit code. Took out which must be a 95 area code. That doesn't apply anymore, and multiple times changed the 3-digit code to a 4-digit code. And then once again took out for respective canyon, because they're all the same. And actually those were the only changes for that policy. So those were the revisions for each of those policies. I know we kind of went over and changed a few as we went. Did you guys have any other questions for revisions? Yes.
Go back to the second to last page.
Okay.
Under the section labeled now labeled gate access.
Okay.
Last sentence. Gate entry codes are only issued for day use and will be deactivated at the end of the business day. That would rather imply that we're going and taking an action Are they automatically deactivated or, I'm a little confused when I read that sentence.
So the same way we set things up on the MyQ Business app, the gate codes when they're created are created for that 24 or 48-hour period, whichever it is. And they automatically,
Deactivated.
yeah,
And what are the hours? This is for realtors,
correct.
okay? Why would we let a realtor into the neighborhood at 10 o'clock? Or let them in there even at 6 o'clock? Most open houses stop at, it would concern me to have, because I'm out there late at night, people entering codes that we have no idea who they are, because there's still a realtor code available and working maybe at 11:45 p.m.
So which one, where are you referring to?
I'm up here on the Clarksville gate.
Just talking about that last 24
The
hours.
last, yeah.
So somebody that was at an open house at 3 o'clock.
Could be able to come in at 2 o'clock in the morning.
2 o'clock in the morning.
It doesn't read very well. Are deactivated, or will be means it implies to me that somebody is actively having to go in there at the end of the day and deactivate it. I think it's just be clear
It's-
if we worded it a little different.
The computer system is the one that deactivates. We don't go in and deactivate it. We set the code up to be only valid for a certain period of time.
I was assuming that was the case. I'm not sure I could assume that I was reading this.
Well, it will be deactivated, it's just, it's done passively, not actively.
Okay.
But it's what hour at the end of the business day.
Okay, so instead of saying will be deactivated, will expire.
That
Well,
would,
it's the
that would be
same
a
thing.
little better, but, I just would like to know what hours it would be good for.
What does the end of the business day mean?
End of business day is 5
Well,
p.m.
normally 5 p.m.
So that when we set these codes up, they are automatically deactivated at 5 p.m.
Okay, so how about end of the, you want to take that off and just put 5 p.m.?
No, I'm just wanting to be clear when it is, I don't care what it says
How
here.
about I'll put it at the end of business day and in parentheses 5 p.m.
So nobody can come back in the middle of the night.
And that or at 9:30, when they should be.
Okay.
Because they cased Kent Lindsay's house and now they're gonna strip it bare.
Well, I heard that one buy
That's
And the written personal.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we accept, oops.
What?
Oh, my
You little
God.
Weaver Weaver. Okay, I did not go get copies of these two. We have two new policies, which is the tree removal policy and the storage policy. They are up on the screen if you guys want to read along with me. Otherwise, I will just read them to you.
And I guess we could turn around and read.
You can turn them around and read along with me if you would like. So the storage policy that has been created states, let me get my glasses so I know I'm right. One, the purpose. The purpose of this storage policy is to establish policies and procedures to determine which items may be stored, where, and for how long they will be stored on Trilogy at Glen Ivy Maintenance Association property. Any and all storage rooms, cabinets, shelving, etc., are the exclusive use of TGMA and shall not consist of wholly owned and maintained property. I'm sorry, that's right, and shall consist of wholly owned, maintained property of TGMA. Yikes. Procedure, clubs and residents may use TGMA-owned property for the purposes of club use or recreation. All TGMA property must be returned to its designated storage space and in its original condition. Failure to return TGMA property to its proper location may affect future usage. Violators will be. Which was this?
That's kind of severe.
Those get to be said down on this one here? That's what you meant? Okay, so how do we change that one, Dan? Violators will be.
Be notified verbally and then in writing.
Okay. Wow. That's fair. Okay, personal item disposition. Clubs and residents are responsible for removing personal and club-owned items at the end of each event. Any items purchased by a club or resident and stored on TGMA property immediately becomes the property of TGMA. Items accidentally left will be held for 30 days and discarded at the direction of the operations manager. 3, exclusions. Creativity room items that may need time to dry or cure may remain on site for a period of blank. I think this to be determined to 7. I'm saying 7 days. Do you guys have a?
7 sounds better.
Blank days or until necessary time for dry and cure. So I'm saying 7 days, and if it's special.
Well, you give yourself an out with the other clause.
Yeah, okay. So do you guys have any changes that you would like to see to the storage policy?
In the second paragraph under number 2, it says any items in the second sentence, any items purchased by a club resident. I think it should read easier. Any items owned by a club or resident and stored on TGMA property immediately become the property of TGMA. Purchase doesn't read real well.
Yeah, that could be donated.
When you put that in there, Mary, what was the intention?
The word purchase is because they're gonna come back and say, but I purchased it, TGMA didn't. I guess it would be the same if you put,
Well, you already say, like, current items must be removed at the end of each event. And then it should say something like, any additional items purchased on the club or resident. Well, not necessarily, no.
Do you guys want to just remove purchased by a club or resident, and it just says any items stored on TGMA property becomes the property of TGMA?
I'm not sure that whole middle sentence even gets.
Well, they're trying to say if you leave it there, they're gonna come to see it.
Isn't also the last sentence? Items accidentally not being held for 30 days to discard.
Yeah.
Somebody leaves a platter by accident.
Right. We hold it for 30 days.
Well, or it becomes immediately becomes the property of TGMA. They put it in the storage cabinet.
Well, they'll come back and say, I didn't take it accidentally, I was on purpose.
Well, that's a fine point, yes.
Well, I think it's, the first sentence is very clear. And then if you just take out accidentally, items left will be held for 30 days and discarded at the direction of operations.
Yeah. So do you leave that middle clear?
I don't think you need that middle sentence. I don't think you need it.
I don't either.
Okay.
I think take it out.
Yeah.
So we're taking out any items purchased by a club, that sentence?
Yeah.
And then we are taking out the word accidentally.
Correct.
So items left will be held for 30 days and discarded at the direction of the operations. And then discarded? And discarded. Okay. So are we good on storage
Unless it's
policy?
something we really want, because it became on top.
Well, I mean, it could be discarded into your car.
That would only be the petty cash box. Which, do we have a petty cash box?
We have a petty cash box. We do.
We have $200 in petty cash, but.
Yeah, we have, it's a safe up in Blake's.
Did we ever open the safe?
We opened it and there is 100 and, there's not 200 in there, but there's receipts from like 6 years ago, multiple years ago, that total out for the 200. So I think we're like down to 86
$7 in there.
Okay.
Anyways, okay, so storage policy adopted, we'll vote on that. Next one is the tree removal policy, and then we're over. Tree removal policy, put my glasses back on. The purpose of this document is to establish policy, provide instructions, and set forth the basic principles to be followed for the removal of trees within the community. Master or single-family detached dwellings, any tree removal that is on a homeowner's property, including those maintained by the association, will be at the expense of the homeowner. This includes trees requested to be removed by the homeowner, as well as those that removal is directed by the association. Removal of any tree maintained by the association must be requested through the Lake Center Business Office and comply with the Trilogy Landscape Policy. Any tree found causing damage to common area property will be required to be removed at the homeowner's expense. Cobblestone, condominiums, and TGMA common area. Removal of trees will be at the expense of the association and shall be limited to the following reasons. Trees that are dead, seriously diseased, or badly out of balance not caused by the homeowner. Tree roots causing visible damage to the common area or resident property. In the event the association deems it necessary to remove a tree, we will give the impacted residents a 7-day notice of the planned removal if safety is not an immediate factor.
Quick question, shouldn't we add in, because it says tree roots causing visible damage?
Yeah, could be more than the roots.
We should add in, like, the.
The canopy could be causing problems with siding or.
Okay, so how about let's remove the word roots and just say trees causing damage. Where was this?
You see, you need to also add for the condos, homeowner requested trees are to be at their expense.
Well, if there was a tree in the condos causing damage, it would be.
ours.
We have requests.
We're gonna do it ourselves.
Damage, just because it's dropping its leaves, they want it removed.
They just want it removed, it's not a problem, they just don't like it. You're
Right.
saying in that case, it would be at their expense?
It
Well,
would be
but
if
we would
there's,
have to prove it as the owner of the tree.
Yeah, we would.
Yeah.
But normally
We say,
I mean, it even begs the question, why would we ever
Why
remove a
would-
tree
that's what
at
I was just gonna
homeowner
say.
request unless there was a.
it clearly,
real reason for doing it?
it clearly states that in the cobblestone area, trees that are dead, seriously diseased, or badly out of balance, not caused by the homeowner, those are the only reasons to be removed.
George, I have a question. O'Connell actually knocked on my door not that long ago and asked me if it was okay if they removed some trees in my front yard. One of them had whitefly and another one was a mess. And they said, well, it needs to be removed. Do you care if I remove it?
Are they replacing the
They
tree?
didn't replace it, no. They're just gone.
should now we'll have to bill you for it.
Well, my gold star is my, but I don't know if they're doing that to other people if they notice that there's an issue.
Well, I appreciate you bringing that up because Richard is making notes right now.
Your address?
They removed one that had whitefly and then a palm tree.
So we'll have to check proposals, but they're not supposed to, yeah, they're not supposed to do removals like that without notification.
2, 3, 8, 3, 4, K.
And they cut down her hibiscus really low too.
Which was fine by me, and also had whitefly.
Well,
I
they're
didn't
doing.
plant any of that stuff. I'm second owner, so I was happy to see it cut down.
Okay, so do you guys need a clause added in then about if they're requesting it? I don't think.
Who is requesting?
Over in
Homeowner or
Cobblestone.
consumer?
Oh, no. I don't think they're allowed, I mean, they're allowed to request it, we'll just.
That's just a one-off, I don't think.
Yeah, I think we just handle it as it comes up. The majority of those requests should be denied.
Yeah.
Unless,
And what we did find, and the whole reason that, one of the main reasons this came up, we were doing a lot of tree removals, and I find basically that why are we removing this tree? Just because it's on a homeowner's property,
and it's doing damage to their sidewalk, okay, it can be removed, but it's not at our expense. It's not, so hence the policy to make it much more clear.
Does that make sense to you, Richard?
Yeah.
I mean, let's just see, if we weren't, I mean, just because somebody else maintains that, doesn't mean it's not my tree. And if it's destroying property, then it's my expense.
Right.
What you have to look at, I would think, because this is gonna be, I think you're gonna see above, is that past practice has been, if it's causing damage, I can just say for me, I had one of the trees that Shay put in the top row one pole, and later on, they should have even planted those trees. But it was leaning towards my house, and it became, I actually did a work order, and it was removed, and they planted a new one. This goes back maybe 40 years, but. So if, no matter what the cause, you're gonna now start billing the homeowners for it, it's a change in your practice, and I'm not sure how these are gonna be shared. Some are more permanent to owner impact than others, but are they dated, number one, and how are you sharing them, because this is a change. So it's just a question.
Man, they came and recommended that the tree be removed so those could damage your home or what?
Right, what I did, it kept leaning, and I did a work order to say, please, and they came out like twice or 3 times, and they looked at it, and they determined I was actually correct, it wasn't going out. So they removed it.
So they didn't, and we didn't bill you for that.
No. it was-
But see, that's the reason the policy's being changed. Because if I have a tree in my yard and it's causing damage to my house, it should be my cost.
Well,
It's your tree on your property.
that's right, it's a tree that the association at one time planted. So I'm just builder. I understand the change.
Yeah.
It's just, you've got people here that they haven't replaced before, or hasn't been a charge based on damage. Whether the roots go into their, other system,
Yeah.
you know, the foundation and things like that.
I just don't know, I mean, if we put this in an e-blast, nobody's gonna read it.
I'm not saying that either. I'm just, your changes have got to have dates, and a lot of them don't. Just in looking at some of the paperwork, I can't even see what you guys are looking at, but if that doesn't have a date on it, put a date on it. And this is,
No, that makes sense.
you know, and if this is a revision, then it should be clearly marked as this is a revision.
In fact, I think this has really always been our policy. We're just
It's
now
just not-
really putting it
It
down.
is, this is actually in the landscape policy. The landscape policy is very lengthy. I think for a long time it wasn't being enforced to what it should be.
But you make a good point. We'll date this, and then
All of,
you know, people will say, well, gee, back in 2012, I had one removed here. Yeah, but here's the new policy.
All right, I got a question. So the line that says, if a tree is causing damage to the common area, property, it will be required that it is removed at the homeowner's expense. So I've got a tree that was planted by the association, or not the association, the builder, and it's been there and it's grown bigger than it ever should to be a tree in the front of my yard, right? It's lifting the concrete on the sidewalk, I mean, it's pulling it up.
Association,
Right. So I'm paying for that tree because it's damaging that sidewalk.
absolutely.
I would say that leave the sidewalk the way it is, I'll keep the tree.
Just cut the root out.
You know what I'm saying? That's the problem.
But think of this were not an HOA situation, that you're living in Los Angeles. You have a tree that was planted 50 years ago, and suddenly it's causing trouble in the street.
Yeah. But so is that gonna
your
be,
expense.
just being devil's advocate here, is that gonna be my option? I just say, well, I don't wanna cut the
Where does
tree.
his property
No,
line stop?
what would end up happening, if we were gonna enforce this, what would end up happening is O'Connell would remove the tree, and then you would be billed through enforcement.
So you're gonna force, yeah, you're just gonna force it.
Where does his property line stop?
Sidewalk.
It stops at the sidewalk. Doesn't stop at the curb.
Because we own the park.
Yeah.
Now, on those that don't
I'm
have,
not sure of that.
on those that do not.
I've heard it both ways.
Well, that's why I'm asking, because you wanted at one time to redo the parking.
Because I'm saying if that's common area, then you should be paying for the sprinklers and the water to water.
Well,
So which is it?
But that's, you know, I don't mean to be nitpicky,
No,
but we're arguing the same point.
Yeah.
You know, if that's common area, no, hell no, you can't re-landscape that, and that's your front yard. But if you own it, and that never came up when we denied that request, by the way. I'll go home, when I get home, and I'll look at my plot plan, and know, find out where my PL is.
I'm sorry, what you said?
Plot plan shows Parkway Strip on the plot plan.
Who owns the Parkway Strip?
I don't know how who owns it, but it shows it on plot
Well,
plan.
Yeah, it is on my plot plan.
Well, I actually have, so, CAL FIRE came out with a complaint from a resident last week. And Rosanna called me and we talked for a while. She actually gave me, a website address that I go to through the county and determine exactly who owns what. So I actually can look this up.
The pin
Is in the curb. Yeah, but that only marks the
No,
sidewalks,
I know.
and you should have, you may or may not have a pin in the back. I have one pin in my backyard, which I can measure over from.
I'm thinking about when we were going, remember when we were looking at this website last week that I showed you? I'm thinking I saw specific lines in front of each of the houses. I'm almost positive it's on this.
It's a very interesting and important point, because if it really is common area, then we have a lot of people that are paying irrigation of common area, which is not a good thing either.
Well, you are, and I am.
Yeah, I mean, half the
And
people.
I'm also
live there.
paying for water on the sidewalk.
Yeah, and the street.
And no, not too much, we cut that. We need to find out, because Tracy, I mean,
Non HOA areas, we have a, so sidewalk and then parkway, I have like 29,
The tree I talked about was in the parkway.
I mean, when you applied for your front yard, you legitimately thought you owned the parking strip and you could re-landscape that. DRC said no, and you graciously accepted that with a lot of kicking and screaming and crying. But Dennis has.
Did I tell you about my IDR?
Just please ignore that, you should take it right to the ADR.
That'll be a June.
But hey, no, this is serious, because we could have, if we wanted to, I mean, if the DRC, and I'm the only one who sits on that, Dennis happens to be the liaison, but George has been the liaison on occasion in the past. He applied to re-landscape his parking strip. We denied it, not because we said he didn't own it, we denied it because we didn't like the idea that, you know, there's 30 houses down the street and this would pop there. But we seriously need to know the answer to this question.
Well, legally, we cannot deny it. I found the documents on the state of California.
Yeah.
If it has to do with drought tolerance and removal of grass, automatic.
Well, guess what? The state is probably going to release all of their drought restrictions. This is the latest I've heard. I did miss the last water board meeting on Tuesday because I had to be in Long Beach, but that's what I heard. I'll have to
But
verify.
that wasn't part of the drought restrictions. That was a law that was passed several years ago.
This was a bill back in June.
Anytime anybody wants to remove grass, you cannot impede that.
Yeah.
But if it's not my
If
property.
it's not
it's
his
a
property, that would be a TGMA board decision, not a George Cole decision.
Unless I did it in the middle of the night, like you did. Yeah.
You know.
Under a full moon.
No, under no moon.
All I can say is that's different than what we've been.
Yeah, but I went to a variance and my variance was
That's gonna be-
accepted.
That's gonna cause some heartache.
We can talk about that honestly.
We've changed out so many trees and lifted sidewalks here and never charged anybody for that. A lot.
Yeah,
We have one down the street from me the other.
We hold board members and soon to be ex-board members to a higher standard.
Oh, you're good.
I mean, it's a point that I think we should, we should debate a little.
Yeah.
Well, we definitely need to know.
The sidewalk is owned by the HOA. The sidewalk is being damaged by a tree in the residence yard. Who should pay for that?
I think Dennis should sell his house real quick and move.
It's not my tree.
That's a good, that's
Nancy's tree.
Yeah. So it's Nan's tree.
The major benefit is definitely the HOA because it's tearing up our sidewalk.
See what you ladies are trying to get
The
yourself.
resident gets very little benefit because most of the residents don't walk on their sidewalk anyway.
Now,
Walk in the gutter.
I've got another similar situation where I've got a Christina that was claimed by the builder between my house and my neighbor's. The thing is 30 some odd feet tall, getting huge. At some point in time, if that has to be taken down, I would say that's my issue.
Yeah.
Since between the two houses, we maintain it, but it's between the two houses, and it would need to be taken care of.
Is that two fares on your side? and
It's
one fare
actually
on the neighbor's
right on the property line. Yeah, between the two, and the person next to me doesn't want to take it down, but that's fine, I like the tree too, I don't want to kill it.
But since it's not damaging HOA property,
Yeah.
the
It would have
HOA is
to be-
not involved.
Yeah, I think the only caveat here is if it's damaging HOA property, then what do you do?
We need to think.
And where's the property?
Okay, so we can hold off on this. We can take the tree removal policy out.
Yeah, well,
We
approve
will
everything else.
approve,
And
okay.
that's 5:30.
All right.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we approve all the changes as presented, and we'll be tabling the tree policy until we can research into that as presented.
And the board
amended.
amended.
As presented and amended.
I put amended in capital letters.
Next page.
And with parentheses. I do that to really highlight that, so people pay attention. Did you read
That's
that?
not what they're meant for. Underline it, bold it. Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Can you come closer? No, yeah, I don't hear
Come
well.
on up here. Pull up a chair.
On financials, is there a policy on when to report the financial statements? I mean, right now, we're reporting, whatever we report right now for February. Standard practice, to report the prior one, to report for March, not.
Well, there's no way that we could get all the March financials done by the time we have a board meeting.
So it's just not,
Yeah.
it's not the
I
reason.
mean, to get all that stuff in there and get corporate to take, to take it all in and record it all and get the books, there's just no way it could happen.
Yeah,
Well, Tracy and I talked about this.
meetings the first week of the month.
It sounds like 2 months, but it's really a month and 4 days, right?
Well, yeah, but exactly, I mean, we're talking about February.
Yeah.
I mean,
But it's not uncommon, Tony. I mean, I used to run board meetings for corporate boards, and we certainly didn't have the financials for the prior month.
Okay, so then the solution on delay, instead of the first Tuesday of the month, the second Tuesday of the month, to discuss the, to me,
You may have a real point there. Why does it bother you?
I don't see the benefit to making the
I
change.
just, we should be talking, to me, the standard practice is priority month. That's.
Well, I agree with you with your home finances, but most of the industry I've involved, there's no way those books are gonna get closed and signed off on. Maybe not even in 2 weeks. So, I mean, we were always at least 1 month behind, and certainly the quarterly reports be even more. So I don't personally see the benefit. I mean, we're 1 month behind, next month we'll have it.
So
So
if we were over budget, under budget, especially over budget, I mean, what do we want to know, like, it happening now, not being delayed a whole month and a half?
The problem right now, to be 100% honest, there are too many other events that are already booked, like for next week, that, I mean, I don't know how I would adjust some of my schedules. That's just my.
we're having a serious conversation.
But, I mean, but to do it, I mean, there's a little.
Well, remember, it's accrual basis too. If you shortcut too much, you're gonna have inaccurate financial statements. Inaccurate. I remember as a Kaiser, this is crazy. They tried to close in 2 weeks, and the rushing of people getting data in half the time incorrect, or if you're a public company, you had a little more reasonable timeframe, but we struggle with corporate accounting right now to get proper accruals in for missing stuff, right? We review, we challenge, and if we speed it up even more with them, we're gonna really damage the financial.
And we have our preliminaries about 2 weeks after Monday.
My
You know,
thing is-
We start setting.
I understand that our board meeting states April, we're only 4 days in. So technically, we're only given 1 month to process. So we're given March to process February, and we report it within 2 to 3 days of the end of February.
Okay, so my final comment, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, I guess we don't have the capability of doing it, but, so when we have the fiscal year control,
Raise the can, start hurting.
March 31st, everyone is going to be talking about that in May or March. Is it? To me, in May, okay, so to me, it's important to know the annual results and stuff. If we can't,
Well, it just ended on March 31st, and then like on May 2nd or 3rd, we'll be talking.
We have April to get everything straightened out, orders in, and then we report it the first couple days of May.
And to your earlier point, if there was something out of line and something was way over the line, we did get preliminaries earlier, so we could start to question it. But we have to get a final before we can present it to our authorities.
hearing that if there are issues,
Yeah.
informed right away, you're not a month lag behind.
No,
You got something working on
yeah, it's a week and a half ago.
Good eye, guys.
You think I know I'm in, I'm here, but I'm in my hand, I don't think I'm on the Ukraine.
Promise you certainly that we will be able to audit county cash now that we have a combination. So you're 6 years later, right? That give me comfort. That's good. Johnny, you saw.
Okay, so we have our motion.
Let's go. What was the motion to approve?
As amended.
All in favor?
Yeah. I missed the vote, Dennis.
Okay, so who is the second?
Me.
Lee, okay. Okay.
Everybody's second.
All right, so our policy-
Oh, you're in favor? I'm in favor.
Have the revision date stamped on it. So, and then the new policy also has an adopted date. This policy was adopted and it'll all be changed.
Yeah, good. The key, we're gonna hold on. Make sure they're all word format. Every policy, that we do, you would make no changes. So we go to the progression. Last time they were looked at. Looked at. Doesn't mean we change
So
it.
we can review the rest of them, revise these, adopt these, all days.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's last time we lose policy was goes back.
The dogs in the neighborhood.
Okay.
You know, there's no changes.